Bandhan Mutual Fund presents MF Corner.
Hello and welcome to the special Mutual Fund YouTube Corner. On the show, we discuss everything about mutual funds, some strategies when it comes to mutual fund investing as well, and the fundamentals as well, and some updates in the mutual fund industry. Joining me today is Prableen Bajpai, the founder of FinFix Research and Analytics Private Limited. Prableen, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And while we usually talk a lot about where to invest, what kind of funds are good, there has been an update in the mutual fund industry, and that is with respect to Know Your Client or KYC norms. They kicked in from 1st of April, but we want to understand more about it. So can you give us a sense of what are the changes in the KYC norms when it comes to mutual fund investors?
Hi, Sonal. Great to be on your show. Yeah, of course, I think KYC is the new topic, and everybody's talking about it because of the changes which are being initiated. So there are three aspects to it. Number one, that the KYC documents, along with your PAN card, there is always a document which is submitted as your proof of address. And so this list of documents keeps changing. So let's say somebody did their KYC 10 years back. At that time, a bank statement was a valid or an official proof of document, which now is not part of that list. So for investors where a document which was submitted earlier and now is not a part of the officially valid document list, they'll have to resubmit their KYCs. That's one part. Second part, for those where an officially valid, which is still relevant, those documents were submitted, but your mobile numbers or your emails, they are probably not linked, or there is some issue there. There are various processes, online option as well as through an update form, where this needs to be validated whether your mobiles and emails are correct. So two parts to the KYC issue, and also a third part that which will be in place soon, where the income tax office has asked again, in consultation with SEBI and the KYC agencies, will be ensuring that the names of investors are exactly the same as per their income tax filing, as well as the date of birth. So these are broadly the changes which are taking place. And of course, it has created a bit of commotion because wherever there is a bit of a problem, the KYCs will go on hold. And if it goes on hold, it means that no financial or non-financial transactions can be done.
Okay, so if KYC goes on hold, there will be no transactions done for that. That is what I was going to ask you next. Is this something that was required? Are investors happy with this? And did they have to do it before 1st April to ensure that any further SIPs, any further contributions are not impacted?
So Sonal, let's just talk about whether it was necessary. Honestly, I think in India, while we are really moving towards digitization, there is still a lot of requirement of documents, whether we are applying for a passport, we are applying for a driving license. And I think that gradually needs to change, because there has to be a central agency where once your data is updated, it can be fetched across agencies, which can be linked to your mobile and email. So of course, the process needs, some sort of upgradation, surely. And this is creating a lot of hassle and chaos, because I think a lot of investors, especially in smaller towns who are not very, savvy with technology, or are do-it-yourself investors through direct plans where they don't have somebody to, help them out, like a distributor or an advisor, I think definitely it will be cumbersome for them. So it's good that they're trying to ensure this, but it also tells us that probably the income tax department or the agencies are really looking to streamline the process. But I think the way it is done, and it's high time that we have a centralized system for everything, not just for KYCs, it's your bank KYCs, all other documentation and things as well. So that is one part. And of course, the KYC requirements will, this whole process will bring a bit of problem for investors. So usually if you're an advisor, we are getting emails which we got in the month of March with a list of clients where the documentation was not as per the valid list. So we did start with the process. So for now, while we are resubmitting the KYCs, none of the KYCs has actually gone on hold. So I think even when we check with the agencies like CAMS and Karvi, there is a bit of confusion on exactly when they go on hold. We are seeing in some cases they have. So I think they are still sort of evolving, even the links that they came up with for updating mobiles and PANs that came up later, mobiles and emails, sorry. So I think the month of April can be a bit chaotic overall for investors.
That happens with any other new rule that has come by. But I do take your point, because there are so many deletions and additions, especially for investors in tier 2 and tier 3. It is a sudden change that has come by, and they're not able to keep up unless they have an advisor, unless they have somebody they can go ahead and ask for these changes. So it's not only for new investors, even the old investors have to go ahead and make those changes, right? Just clarifying that.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, only it will be easier for new investors, because they will not be, their KYCs will not be accepted if now they are not as per the latest regulations. The problem is actually for old investors, because at that time they were taking the utility bill, your electricity bills, and your BSNL numbers for your KYC. And now all of that is not accepted. So, for them, it's a whole process of reapplying for their KYC. So that's going to be cumbersome for sure.
I totally take that point. So last question before I let go of this conversation. Is this only in case you have to take a client on board, or even if you want to redeem, you have to have these KYC documents in place?
Absolutely, Sonal. So unless and until the KYC is not updated, even your redemptions can go on hold. Or they would not get through. So it's really crucial. And, I was looking at some tweets yesterday. A lot of people were actually talking about this, that this is really not a good step, because for somebody who wants to redeem, let's say for an emergency from a liquid fund, and your KYC goes on hold for something that you're unaware of, that can be really, really bad, for the person in that situation. So I think overall, we really, really need to, step up and bring in a process which is more transparent, of course, where, the names and everything as per income tax documents. But at the same time, I think it facilitates and is easy for investors, and if we are looking at making the industry more robust.
Okay, they are, but again, as we discussed, it has not come suddenly. Of course, we kept getting those pop-ups in their mutual fund accounts, right? That go ahead, do this KYC, but it's just document changes is something that I don't think everyone is so comfortable with. Compliance without documents is something, or lesser documents is something that investors would like. Prableen, thank you so much for joining us with all those details and explaining all of it to us so patiently. So these are some important changes that everyone should be aware of. And if you are getting sudden pop-ups or sudden requests asking for new KYC documents, go ahead and do it right away, because this is very important. Otherwise, there will be issues with your mutual fund account. Thank you so much, Prableen, for joining us, and we'll speak to you very soon. Okay, all right. With that, we'll take your leave now on this edition of Mutual Fund YouTube Corner. But stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
Bandhan Mutual Fund presents MF Corner.